What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Garage Build, and today we're making a video about how much my 2003 350Z 2JZ swap cost me. There's been several comments on the channel of people asking how much it cost you, what kind of parts you used, and which is fine, but I just want to sit down and just share it, what I used and what parts I used, how much I got them for at the time that I was doing the swap. I mean, there's a millions other ways you can go about this. You can go more, cheaper route, or you can go more expensive route. But this is personally what I used and what I spent on my swap. So you don't have to do the same. You can go a different route. But just to give you an idea what you can do and how it would work out or how much it would cost you. So I will make a video on this, but before we jump into this video, I do want to tell you guys we do have a giveaway. So as long as you're a subscriber to our channel, at 500 subscribers we're going to have a giveaway of a Mishimoto thermostatic plate for your oil filter with some adapters if you want to choose to run an oil cooler or whatnot. So we have one of those, along with a Street Fight Performance hat, that's our shop, and a Street Fight Performance shirt of the winners. So we have them in several different colors. So whoever's the winner, we'll give him a choice to pick his color: gold, black, red, white, so on and so forth, and 5 different decals of Street Fight Performance, also different colors. So you have nothing to lose, just hit that subscribe button and you are automatically entered to win thermostatic plate, shirt, hat, and 5 decals. So go ahead and do so, and I hope you're the winner. Alright guys, so I'm going to be reading off my checklist that I made here, and we're just kind of going to go down the line and try to keep this as organized as possible. I made some bulletin points of everything that I have bought for the vehicle. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I apologize for that, but I cannot remember every single thing that has been installed on this car. We're gonna start off with how long did it take me to do my swap. The swap took me to do 3 months, basically from start to finish, from pulling the engine to turning the key and the car running. I could have done it a little bit faster, but at that time I did not have a welder or ability to actually fabricate my own piping or weld my own stuff in the garage. So I ended up taking it to a local fab shop, and they took a little bit of time to do so just because they were busy. So the car was there for about a month, and that could have probably been 2 months if I was able to do the work myself, but it is what it is. So 3 months, that's what it took me. Now we'll start with the most obvious thing, is the motor. The motor was purchased in May of 2019, and at that time I bought the motor for $25.50, and that is 2JZ GTE VVTi engine that was purchased from Midwest of JDM, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was able to just go up there, and we started the engine. We did a compression test. We opened up the valve covers, take a look inside a little bit, and everything looked great. So I did purchase that engine, which I'm happy with. Once I got the motor back to my house, I ended up basically stripping as much as possible without opening everything up, and I replaced all the gaskets that I could at that time: valve cover, seals, basically any coolant, O-rings, lower and upper oil pan, gasket maker, so on and so forth. So I was trying to avoid any leaks possible once we go and start the engine. The miscellaneous price for everything that I bought, gaskets, gasket sealer, stuff like that, I'm just gonna give that number at the end because there were some fittings in this. I didn't want to list every single thing because they'll take forever. Besides the O-rings and the seals that I end up redoing on the engine, the most obvious things were the flood damper pulley that I did change. Guys, whenever you're running, start making a little bit of power, you do want to replace your OEM pulley because it has a metal with a rubber insert, and they known to fail. And basically, to avoid that, you kind of want to change to something more reliable. So I ended up going with a flood dampened pulley, which cost me $375. Another thing that I did to the engine, obviously it is not necessary for the swap, but in my case, I ended up power coating my valve covers and my intake manifold, which cost me $140 at my local power coater. Right, moving on to the adapter kit, I ended up using Collins adapter, and this is the one that you do not have to cut your bell housing. So adapter kit came with stage 4 ACT clutch, and this is the options you can choose to have or not to have when you purchase this. So in my case, I chose the ACT stage 4 clutch, a billet shifter, and it came with a transmission mount, engine mount, and adapter plate. And that kit cost $2,490. All right, next one is up is going to be our hot side, and for the hot side, we'll start with the turbocharger. I went with a Precision Turbo. It's a Gen 2 6466 with a 0.96 AR. And that turbocharger cost me $1,935. I purchased it from Precision themselves, and then you get a warranty. I didn't want to go with anything used, but options are out there for you to choose what you want to go with. I also bought a 46mm wastegate from Precision. That cost me $341. I did purchase a high flow drain, a dash stand for the bottom of my turbocharger. And the high flow drain, basically the only thing is different from any other drains is they have a chamfered edges once you put it to the bottom of your drain port. So it's not flat edged like you usually see. They're chamfered, so the oil is not backing up on the edges if your fitting is a little bit off. But $35 for that. Then I also had to get 3 5/8 V-bend clamp adapter that will go down to from the turbo side, hot side, down to the downpipe. That was $74, and the V-bend clamp $21. For the exhaust manifold, I went with CX Racing manifold. That was $570. For the cold side of the motor, I still have a stock OEM intake manifold. I am planning to change that in the future, but for now it is stock. I did end up buying drive-by-wire adapters for the cold side, so it's a CNC cut plates. One of them would be mounted to my intake manifold, and the other one I end up getting for my 350Z OEM throttle body, and then they're both connected with a 90-degree elbow, basically cast aluminum. If you do want those plates, let me know. I know a guy who makes them, so there will be $93 for both sides. HKS super sequential blow-off valve, $296. Plus I had to buy the weldable bracket to my intercooler piping, and that was $37. Unfortunately, they don't come with the blow-off valve themselves. Next one down is intercooler, and I also bought that one from CX Racing. It is just a universal 1000 CFM, which is pretty large intercooler if you guys watch the videos, and that was $200, and that was absolutely nice because the welds on it and everything was flawless, and I really liked the way it looked. So my exhaust, downpipe, and my intercooler piping were all fabbed up at the local shop, as I told you that before, and everything, the work and the piping, cost me $1,200. So I don't think that is a bad price. It's kind of actually cheap if you ask me, and it came out great. With that being said, we're gonna get into electrical. We're gonna start with the wire harness. I had it built by Twig Performance, and that was a custom harness. I did not send my original harness to them to modify it, so they built it from scratch basically, and that was $1,500. And with that harness, I just want to point that out there. Once you guys do that, many of you probably already know, you can select what kind of sensors you run in, what kind of coil packs you run in, injector, so on and so forth, ECU, and those guys will wire up the harness and install the plugs that you will need. So you actually you can just plug and play basically when it arrives at your door. So that's what happened. I told them we're gonna run this kind of injector, this kind of sensor, this kind of ECU, and when it arrived, you just plug and play, and The size of the harness was perfect. It was not long, it was not short. Everything worked out. So I highly recommend Twig Performance. Everything was flawless on that harness. The ECU I ended up purchasing is AM Infinity 8 ECU, and that cost me $2,418. Most of my sensors that I'm running are Infinity as well, and I'm going to list them just to let you know what sensors I am running. So I have a AEM 3.5 bar map sensor, that was $150. AEM intake air temp sensor, that's $50. Bosch 4.2 wideband sensor, that's $130. 100 psi fuel pressure sensor, $150, and also 100 psi oil pressure sensor, that's also $150. The part number for them is the same. I think it's just a pressure sensor 0 to 100 psi. So, and then I have a 3-port AEM boost solenoid installed, that is $100. Oh, and also GM flex fuel sensor, that's $70. And those are the things that I had listed for them to make the plugs for. So when it came in, all the plugs were the right ones. Moving on to a alternator. So the alternator, I did end up upgrading to the MacMan alternator, and that is $417. The coil packs that I went with are R35 Nissan GTR coil packs, and I purchased the whole kit from Thorn Industries. Basically they came with a hardware, adapter plates, and coil packs, and that ran me $1,009. There's some additional wiring that I did need for my grounds, my starter, so on and so forth. Just a few miscellaneous grounds basically that I did add to the chassis, and between the wires and the ring terminals, it was about $50. Next one down is cooling. So basically there was a few stages, a few different fans that I bought, but I'm not going to list every one of them. I'm just going to tell you which one worked for me. And here we go. Radiator that I'm using is a Mishimoto 350Z radiator. That was $293. The fans that I'm running are SPAL fans, and I did purchase them from Summit Racing. You can get them on different websites. They're 2000 CFM pusher fans, and they were $453 for both of them. And I'm going to give you the part number just in case you need it. It is 16924. Those are the only fans that worked out, and they're actually keeping the car cool even on a hot day at the track. So thumbs up for these fans. Next one down is Mishimoto oil cooler. I did buy a 21 row oil cooler kit from them, and that was $437. I did end up using everything out of the kit, except I had to modify one line. I needed a little bit shorter, so I ended up cutting it off and putting my own fitting on it. But other than that, the kit is super awesome. You don't have to buy the same. You can buy everything separate or make your own. But in my case, $437. I did buy an oil cooler adapter plate from Circuit Racing, and that was $95. I also ended up basically cutting the slip-on hose fittings for your radiator, top bottom on the radiator side and then the engine side, and welding their 16 bongs. And for all 4 bongs, that was $53 from Summit Racing. I also purchased a radiator overflow can from Summit Racing, and the brand is for that one Be Cool, and that was $295. It is a little expensive, but for the size and the quality of the overflow can, can't argue with that. I know it is a little too much for just the overflow can, but it did work out. It looks great just because how small it is and the spot where I wanted to go to. So it worked out at the end. And that's basically everything necessary that you will need to swap. But in my case, I also ended up purchasing a vented hood, which did run me $1,100. You don't have to do the same, but I was trying to keep my car as cool as possible, so I did buy the AMS style hood just to keep all that hot air going out as fast as possible. But like I said, it is not necessary. That's just what I did. So I'm not going to include that in the price. That's not what it takes to swap. I'm going to leave that one out of the total price of the swap. Moving on to the fuel system. Everything, most of the stuff is Radium Performance, and I'm going to give you a full price on everything that I purchased. So I did buy Radium fuel rail, fuel dampener, fuel pressure regulator, and the pressure regulator is the one that goes on the back or the front of your rail, depending on how you're going to run your hoses. And also I did purchase 2 of those slip-in fittings for your valve covers from Radium. If you guys haven't seen them, go check them out. They're super cool. This for your blow-by, so you can run the Dash 8 lines. And this is the price for all of it. Dampener, those 2 fittings, and the rail. And that came down to $687, which is very nice. It's not that expensive for the quality of the product that you get. Fuel pump. The fuel pump I ended up buying from Z1, and it's the Hellcat 525 all-row pump. Right now it's working fine. I only have 1 pump, and it is sitting on the stock hanger. Really all you have to do is just trim it down a little bit because it's a little bit wider at the very bottom. You kind of have to cut 1/4 inch of it off, and it will go right in with no issues. Also, I did purchase a fuel return kit from CJ Motorsports for $109, and I had to buy an additional Dash 8 fitting, I believe, for $39, because that was the size of the line that I was running. I think their kit comes with a 6, but if you want a different one, you have to purchase separately. So $109 for the return kit, and this is just the area, just an area where it goes onto the fuel hanger itself. It's not the rest of the, it's nothing though you would run to the front of the motor. Those are the lines you have to fab up yourself. So knowing what that kit is now, I would probably just go to Summit Racing and order a few fittings and make it. It'll probably be way cheaper, but it is what it is. At that time I did not know, so I paid the price. I might have been able to save a few bucks, but not much. Next one on the list, guys, is the Driveshaft. I end up using my OEM Driveshaft. All I did is send the Driveshaft to Dynamic Driveline in Arizona, and they were able to shorten my Driveshaft, and everything cost me $162. That's basically, took about a week turnaround time and 162 bucks. That was with the shipping and the work at that time, and it's holding up fine. I showed you in the previous video when I was pulling the transmission out how it looked, where they did the modifications, so you guys can check that out. But $162, you can't beat that, and it's still strong, and so far there's no issues. There's a few hose kits that I purchased online. Those from CNC Machining. So I bought 20 feet of hose. It came with 10 fittings. I bought a PTFE nylon black in Dash 6 and the Dash 8, and regular nylon Dash 10 hose. So my Dash 6 PTFE cost me $86. The Dash 8 cost me $93, and the Dash 10 cost $61. So all those were 20-foot rolls with the 10 fittings, and that was the cheapest ones I found. So far I had no issues with those fittings and those lines. Everything worked out great. I know some of the other brands that you buy will cost me arm and a leg to purchase that big of a quantity, but in this case it was affordable. It was just under $300, and it worked out great. So I do recommend those guys. If you do want to use those lines, go check them out. It is pretty affordable, and it works awesome, and it looks good. Another thing you would need would be the power steering line, and I did buy that from Suspicious Garage for $80, which was pretty nice. I know there's a Case Bay one that you can buy, but if you go on their website, they do have a lot of stuff, a lot of parts for the swaps, so you guys can also check them out. They'll help you out. So I did not want to list every single O-ring seal, main seals, belt, timing belt. So I kind of just wrote it all down, and just as far as like miscellaneous, some paint, it came down to $559. So if you guys just keep that in the back of your head, you're gonna need some extra fittings. You're gonna need, you know, front main seal, rear main seal, a gasket maker. You'll need to change your timing belt. In my case, I did a Gates belt. Just throwing that out there. It is pretty good belt. And now for my tune. I know it will vary from shop to shop. I did a remote tune, so my tuner ended up loading up the base map, and the base tune cost me $412, and then that basically got the car started, got it driving, running and driving. And then we did 5 pulls on the highway, 3 pulls on 93, and 2 pulls on E85, and then we're gonna keep going. But at that 5th pull on E85, the car was actually pretty gnarly, and I kind of didn't want to go any farther. I just kind of want to go to the dyno and get it finished tuning it up there and see where it's at. The tuner's basically saying it's probably in the high 6s, but we can go to 7 and kind of keep it there. So in the future videos, once I get the trainee on, we're gonna go to the dyno and see what the car actually makes. So stay tuned for that one. But the 5 pulls on the freeway, that was $310. So that was I think pretty fair price as far as tuning goes. Oh, and another thing that I left out, guys, is the injectors that I am using. So I am running the ID 1300X injectors, and they ran me $1,400. So with all that being said, our total comes down to $22,057. And like I said, I am leaving the hood without it. But like I said, guys, you can go a different route. You don't have to go the same. There's many different avenues you can go to. You can go for a lot cheaper. It all depends on what kind of stuff or what do you want to do. In my case, I wanted to basically turn the key and go, have a reliable car. I didn't want to have a whole bunch of eBay parts on the car. I wanted all my dash, my seal to work. So I had to pay a little extra to get all that figured out and have all that wired up. I am happy with it. I don't regret it. I'm super pumped. I love the car. And like I said, if you're doing it, do it the way you want to do it. If you guys have any further questions, maybe routing or you know, some additional wiring questions, please comment down below. If you guys want to see it in person, the car's currently at the shop. We'll make a video up close and show you or point out the things that you want to see, or make a video on what you're curious about. Just let me know. But for now, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, don't miss out on a giveaway, and I'll see you in the next one.